Hi, fourth graders. Happy Thursday or Friday, whatever day you are watching this. I miss you and I hope you are having a great week. As we look forward to next week, we will be taking our K-Prep test. Now, this is something, fourth graders, that you have not done because you did not have to take it last year in third grade because we were doing school from home. So, normally for K-Prep, we would take it with a test booklet and a pencil and a Scantron form, but this year we're going to do it on the computer since everyone in class has their own Chromebook. So I am going to walk you through some of the buttons and some of the features that you will see next week when we take the K-Prep test so that you are familiar with what they do and how to use them. So the first thing we are going to talk about is our arrows. So as you move through each part of your test, you will be taking 3 different parts. You will see arrows at the top. This is how you move through your questions or move through whatever you are reading. So you're always going to use the blue arrow to move right. And if you need to go back to other questions, you can use this left back arrow to go back. So I'm going to click that to take us to our next screen. And if I wanted to go back to review what I had previously done, I could click this button. The next thing you're going to see is your username and password login screen. Now, Ms. Cameron is going to be giving you your username and password. That is not anything that you know beforehand. That is not anything that you need to worry about right now. I will give you that the day of the test. You will type it in each line, and you will click that sign in button. Now, when you are signed in, up here at the top corner where it gives you this information, your initials will be there, your first and last initials. Or your first and last name, excuse me. So when you log in, if that does not pop up with your name, you are not logged into the right test, and you need to make sure that you get logged on to the right account, and Ms. Cameron can help you do that. After you enter your username and password, it's going to ask you to agree to the terms and conditions. So just make sure that box is checked and you hit that blue continue button. That just means that you understand the rules and you're going to follow the rules of our K-Prep test. So before you start each part of the test, there will be a seal code. Now, Ms. Cameron will give you this before you start the test. So after you have put your username and password in, I will go in and give you the seal code, and that is going to let you get into the test and to start answering your questions. So I'm going to scroll back up here to the top, and I'm going to use my blue arrow to go to the next screen. So these are some different parts of your test navigation screen. So obviously we have our buttons to go to the next screen or go back. Up here at the top, it says review or bookmark. If I click review, it's just going to show me all of the questions or all of the screens that I need to go through. So I know I've already done question 1 and 2, and I'm on screen 3. If I am going through my test and I might want to come back to a certain question, I can hit this bookmark button, and this will save this screen for me. And as I'm reviewing it, it will show you that it is bookmarked. So when you are done and when you're going through your questions, you know that you can see that and you need to go back to that question. And I can always unbookmark the screen too, and it goes away. This is my test toolbar, and we will talk more about this in just a little bit. Up here will be your first and last name. Remember, just always double check that it is you that is logged into the test and not somebody else. And then up here at the top, it will tell you what test you're taking and what part of the test you're taking. Some of our tests might have 2 different parts, so you always want to make sure you're logged on to the right kind of test, to the right part of the test. And then these numbers right here is what question you are on out of the whole. So right now we are on screen 3 of 43. So let's keep going. I'm going to hit my blue arrow. So like we just talked about, as you are moving through your test, you can always hit this review, and it will give you a review of the questions. If they are yellow, that means you have not answered them. And down here at the bottom, you see I have not answered 39. I have none bookmarked, and all of my questions total, there are 43. So as you're moving through, you can always use this screen to jump back and forth if you don't want to hit the arrows. Like we also just talked about, you can bookmark questions. So you can always hit this bookmark button if you think you're a little unsure of your answer, and as you move through, you don't want to spend too much time on it, but you might want to come back to it at the end if you have time left over. I can always hit that bookmark button, and it will give me a flag right here, a blue flag, and number 1 right here. So I know that I need to come back to question number 5. You do not have to bookmark any questions, but only if you think you need to come back to them. So I'm going to unbookmark that one. All right. So reaching the end of a part. When you reach the end of a part, you will see this screen. It'll say end of part A or end of math, end of reading, whatever test you are taking. The orange and blue icons will tell you how many you have not answered. You want to make sure that you always make sure that that says 0 and how many you have bookmarked. So how many you want to come back to. So if you click that not answered button, it will take you to the questions you've not answered, or the bookmark questions, it will take you to the ones that you bookmarked so you can go back to them if you have time. When you are done, when you see that you have no questions that you left unanswered, it will be green like this, and you can hit that submit selection button, and you know that you are at the end of that section. Now, you cannot move on to another section until your teacher tells you to, but you know that you have submitted that section that you were working on at that point. A section warning will pop up. If you are not done, if you click that button on accident, click no, and you can go back to your work. But if you are done, you went through your questions, none were bookmarked, all were answered, you can hit that yes button and it will turn in that part of the test. So, if Miss Cameron tells you to exit the test before you are done, if maybe you need to go to the bathroom, it's an emergency, or something happens in the building, you are going to select the button next to your name at the top of the corner, and you are going to select sign out of test nav. So sign out right here. Then you are going to hit the button that says save and return later. Now, only do this if Miss Cameron has told you to. Do not do this on your own. Do not do this just throughout the test because you do not want to have to come back, log back in. This is only for an emergency situation. So when you have completed the last question of a test, you double checked, you reread, there's nothing bookmarked, all your questions are answered, you're going to hit that submit final answer button. Then you are going to hit it again, say yes, submit final answers. It's going to give you a couple warnings just in case you might think, oh, I want to go back and reread. I have a little bit of extra time. So always hit submit final answer and then yes, submit final answers so that we get your scores for your test. Okay, so let's talk about your toolbar. Your toolbar is your 5 buttons up here. The first one is your pointer. So as you're answering your questions, you want to make sure that's always selected so that you may work through the test. The next one is a notepad, and it will pop up like this, and you can take notes just like this. Okay, make sure you hit that X. The next one is a calculator, which you will have the option to use on some parts of your math test. So as you're working through, this will pop up here as your calculator. This one is an answer eliminator. And this one is a dictionary and thesaurus. So you can type in any word and search for what the meaning is, or use the thesaurus to look for other words that might mean the same thing. Now, you may not have the opportunity to use the dictionary and thesaurus on all parts of your test, but if it is highlighted, you may use it. The pointer tool is going to be used to select your answers, drag an answer, mark objects, or turn other tools on and off. So most of the time, you're going to have this pointer tool selected. The notepad tool can be used to write notes during the test. If you write a note about a certain question and you go back to review that question, your notes will still be there. It will be saved automatically. The answer eliminator you can use to mark an X through them. So like as we've been doing our reading passages together, we've talked about you can X out the answers that are obviously not correct. You can use this answer eliminator that same way. So I would just hit that and you can see that it pops up. And I can just click if this one is not right and this one's not right and I am debating between A and C, I can use that answer eliminator so I don't have to worry about those answers. The calculator you can use on certain parts of your math test and maybe some parts of your science test. So you're going to be able to open that here and use that during your math test. On some parts of your math test, you might have a protractor like we used last week that you can just click and drag to wherever you need it. So if I am measuring an angle, I'm going to take this little plus sign and put it right at the edge of my angle to measure. I also might need to use a ruler to measure certain lines on shapes or whatever the question may be. So I can click and drag and use this ruler just like you would use a ruler in real life. And if I needed to change the way that the ruler is facing, I use these black buttons on the end just to line it up to where it needs to be. The straight edge I can use to draw a straight line. Maybe I need to draw a graph or whatever the question asks me. I can use this to draw my lines wherever they may need to be. The last tool that we're going to talk about is your dictionary and thesaurus. Now, I can use my dictionary. I know I use a dictionary to find the meanings of words, and I can use the thesaurus to find words that are similar, so find my synonyms. So as I'm writing, I might use this tool. On some parts of your test, you might also need to use the highlighter tool. So to use this highlighter tool, all I have to do is select and drag the words that I want to highlight, and I can either highlight them in blue or I can highlight my words in pink. It does not matter what color you use. And let's say I accidentally highlighted words that I didn't mean to. All I have to do is re-click and drag on them and hit this button and it will unhighlight. Now you may use this if you find a super important piece of information in a passage that you want to come back to. But again, you do not have to use this tool, and it will not be available on every single test you take. On some tests, you're going to need to scroll to read a whole passage. Some of them might be longer than what you can see on your screen. So all you're going to do is use this scroll bar right here to bring you all the way down, just like we would if we were using a Google form or anything else that we've done this school year. You should be pretty familiar with that one. Some reading passages may include words that are not familiar to you. Some of the words have a dotted line below them. If you see a word with a dotted line below them, it means that there is a glossary definition for it. So all you have to do is click on that word and it will pop up for you so you can help better understand that meaning. Now, this will not happen on all parts of your test. But if you see those underlined words, just know that you have a glossary that you can use on that part of the test. For some questions, you'll need to type your answers in a response box. So to type in that box, all you're going to do is click in it. So you will click in the box and you may begin typing. Now, let's say you wanted to make a word bold. You could just click this. If you wanted to underline it, you could click this button. And let's say you wanted to undo something that you had typed that you didn't mean to, like when we use our Google Slides. All you have to do is hit that arrow and it will undo what you did. Or if you didn't mean to undo it, you can hit this arrow and it will put it back the way you wanted it to. And this number right here just tells you how many words or how many letters you have left to type in the box. So you have a few accessibility tools in your drop-down menu. You don't really need to play with these unless you get to a screen and you cannot see something. There is a magnifier or there's zoom that will help you see better. But unless you have that problem, you don't need to worry about hitting those buttons. We are not going to talk about this, fourth graders, because I do not think we'll need to change the color of our background. But if for some reason you have trouble seeing, just raise your hand and Miss Cameron can come over to you and help you. You do have a magnifier tool that is used to enlarge one part of the screen at a time. So I'm going to come up here to the accessibility menu and I'm going to enable the magnifier. And all I have to do is drag over the area that I want magnified, and you can see that you can see the questions bigger, so it just zooms in a little bit for you. But again, fourth graders, you may not need to use that very often. We are not going to talk about this one, fourth graders. let's talk about our zoom tool. So the zoom tool can be used to make the whole screen larger, just like on a Google slide, how you can zoom in to make it bigger. So to use the zoom tool, you're going to use this drop down menu again, and you are going to select what looks like a plus sign or a minus sign. I do not have it on mine, fourth graders, because I am just using a guest account, so it does not let me. But if you wanted to zoom in to see a paragraph better, all you would have to do is to hit the plus button. Now, let's say you made your screen way too big and you can only see a couple words. You just have to hit that minus button and it will zoom back out, just like we do when using our Google Slides. Next, you're going to learn about the different types of questions that you might see on your test. So let's do that. So you might have some multiple choice questions, and we have been working through these on a Google form. They're going to look pretty similar to your Google form. You just have to read through it and select the best answer. Now make sure you read each multiple choice selection before clicking that final answer. And again, you're just going to click in the circle, just like on our Google Forms. The next kind of question you might have is something called a multi-select. And this is kind of like what you did last Friday for our bike safety essay. You can select two answers on this type of question. So our boxes look a little different. If you notice, our multiple choice boxes are circles. Our multi-select boxes are squares. So you can click two of these. And all you have to do to unselect them is click them again. You may have an equation editor, so you need to provide some explanations on how you found the answer like we did a couple weeks ago. So all you have to do is click into the box and write your equation. You may have questions where you have to drag and drop items. So if we're looking at even numbers and odd numbers, all I have to do is drag them over into the right boxes, just like that. You may have them where you have a lot of different options and only 3 boxes. So you have to find the best answer to go in each box. So you're just clicking and dragging until you see it highlighted and you know you have gotten it there. You may have test questions with a number line zoom where you have to plot the correct answer. So you might be looking for a certain number on the number line, and all you have to do is click to select that plot. So let's say your answer is between the number 2 and 3. You would just click on this box, and you're just clicking where you want your dot to go. You may have a test question with a fraction model. So it says to divide the rectangle shown into 3 equal areas. So I am going to add different pieces to my fraction model so that now I have 3 equal areas. And it says to shade 2/3 of it, so I know I would shade 2 of the 3 pieces. I may have an infinite choice question, and these are just drop-down menus to where you are selecting the correct answer for each box. I might have a fill-in-the-blank question where I know I can just type in my answer after I have done the work to find the answer. You may also have hotspot items, and you are selecting a spot on a number line or on a shape to where the correct answer goes. So you're looking for 5/3. And I know if I do the math, I could get the right answer. But just for an example, all I have to do is click where I want that to be. And it will highlight in blue. You may also need to plot points on a graph, and all you're doing is clicking where you want that point to go after you have completed the math problem. Your test may have hot text items, and in a hot text item, you're selecting a line with a box around it as your answer choice. So you would just be clicking one of these, fourth graders. Some of your test questions may include multiple passages. So all you have to do is click through. So this would be the passage called The Night Shift, and this is the passage called That Loves the Night, and you are clicking and reading just like we did last week when we looked at multiple texts about the same topic. This is what the test wants you to do. So this would be like me getting to the end of a test. So I am on slide 43 of 43. If I go up here, I can see that I have 7 unanswered. So if I was taking this test really, I would go back. Any question that is yellow, I would go back and answer. I see that I have bookmarked no questions. So I know that I don't need to review any. If I was really taking this test, I would go back to any of the questions that are yellow and make sure that I hit an answer, making sure that each question is answered to the best of my ability. So when I get to this screen and I see that I have none that are unanswered, none that are bookmarked, I'm going to hit that green Submit Final Answers button. And remember, fourth graders, it's going to pop up with another option which says yes, submit, or no, go back. You want to make sure that you submit so that your final answers are submitted and your scores are counted. Now, I'm going to give you some time, fourth graders, to practice with this practice test, to use the multiple choice, to use all the different tools and features and types of questions so you can practice around with them so that next week when we do this on Thursday and Friday, you are prepared and you are ready. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I miss you. I can't wait to see you next week. And have a great Thursday, Friday, and a great weekend. Bye, fourth graders.